From the Flying T Studio at Roxo Media House, this is Frogs Today with our special guests, fan favorite and star of the TCU tournament run, Eddie Lampkin, Sonny Dykes' new defensive coordinator, Joe Gillespie, ESPN Plus analyst, Colin Boddicker, and our headliner, head baseball coach, Kirk Saarloos. And here's your host, the voice of the Frogs, Brian Estridge.
Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome into episode number 2 of Frogs Today. I'm Brian Estridge, and for the next little bit, we get to talk about what may be the best time of year as far as TCU athletics is concerned. Well, it was going to be even better if the Horned Frogs wouldn't have gotten, jobbed by the officials in that basketball game against Arizona. Can I say that? The Horned Frogs now turn their attention to the offseason. Eddie Lampkin's going to stop by, one of the more popular players in all of college basketball. He's going to be with us. We'll talk about a new NIL deal that he has. Colin Boddicker, the former TCU player, is going to stop by. Great analyst, by the way. He'll break down this season for us, and we'll start to talk about what the Frogs have to do next year to follow up to this terrific story that was the 2022 season for TCU. Our headliner today is Kirk Saarloos, the head baseball coach. Big 12 baseball is underway. And by the way, check the standings. This is a really good league in baseball. We bragged about how the Big 12 basketball league was the number 1 in the country. This baseball might be as well. TCU and Kansas State this weekend. We'll preview that. Kirk Saarloos is going to come by. We also have spring football underway. And what a different vibe it is around TCU spring ball. As you've got media out, you've got fans out, all able to participate, get a chance to watch Sonny Dykes' team in the mornings in spring ball. I tell you the thing that I love about it is the fact that we have access to players, too. They'll be coming by the set periodically here at Frogs Today. Today, though, we get to talk to Joe Gillespie, the defensive coordinator. Some big shoes to fill. He knows that, and he's ready to go. He's going to join us coming up a little bit later on. So all that's jammed in here to the next few minutes that we call Frogs Today. Why don't we start our day, though, at the top, at the news desk, where Maggie Hale is standing by with everything going on in the world of TCU athletics. Maggie?
Thanks, Brian. As always, there's a lot going on in the world of TCU athletics, so without further delay, let's get right into it, starting with TCU basketball's 85-80 overtime loss to U of A in the second round of the NCAA tournament. The big story of the night is whether or not a foul should have been called against Mike Miles as time expired in regulation. The team ended the year with their first second-round appearance since 1987 and a 21-13 record. Baseball springing into conference play this past week down in Waco. The Frogs saw a successful weekend with a 2-1 victory in the series. The highlight of the weekend, a thrilling 11-inning game Saturday, ending in an 11-9 victory for the Frogs. Spring practice has commenced for the football team, and the new era of Horned Frog football will be on display at the spring game, April 22nd. The big debate is who will be the starting quarterback. With Chandler Morris and Max Duggan both back and healthy and ready to go, it's a race for the quarterbacks. And the defending ITA 2022 championship men's tennis team saw another victory over SMU Monday night. The 4-1 victory advances the men's team to an 18-2 record on the season, putting them at number 1 in the rankings. And the TCU beach volleyball team, a force to be reckoned with on the sand. The number 3 ranked Frogs improve undefeated with 19 wins on the season after a 4-team sweep this past weekend. The team's impressive start to the season is the greatest by any TCU athletics team in history. And it's always good to see the Frogs successful after TCU. Offensive tackle and alumni Joe Noteboom signed a 3-year, $40 million contract with the Los Angeles Rams, coming after a huge Super Bowl win for the Rams. That's not all we have in store for you today on Frogs Today. Coming up, we have Brian Estridge in studio with Joe Gillespie.
Say hello to the water of tomorrow. Richard's Rainwater. Richard's Rainwater is 100% rain, refreshing, renewable, and the only ingredient we use in our water. Why rain? Because everyone deserves access to clean water, and rain is a 100% renewable resource available everywhere. Drink the rain. Save the planet. Shop now at richardsrainwater.com.
The Flying T Club provides the everyday TCU fan and alum the ability to specifically support TCU student athletes. Flying T Club offers 3 levels of memberships. The Flying T Club is a nonprofit organization supporting the brand development of TCU student athletes through a series of unique event-based networking opportunities, which are exclusive to our members. These events provide a great social engagement tool for our members and student athletes alike. Follow them on Instagram at Flying T Club or online at flyingtclub.com.
Longtime Fort Worth journalist Mac Engel voices the Angle podcast bi-monthly on Wednesdays with guests from the world of sports, entertainment, and general interest. Mac brings up his unique perspective and entertaining spin to every episode. Listen anywhere you can get your podcast or at angleangle.com.
Back we come on Frogs Today, and we welcome you in. Coming up a little bit later on, we're going to break down the Horned Frog basketball team from 2022. Look ahead to what they may need to do as far as the roster is concerned. We'll do that coming up here on Frogs Today. Right now, though, it's our honor and privilege to welcome the defensive coordinator of the Horned Frogs. If you would, welcome Joe Gillespie to the show. Joe, come on out, my man.
Hey,
how are you?
Great to see you, Brian. Great to be here. Thank you guys for having me.
Yeah, this is the den. So whatever you need, you just hang out. If you need to come by and just relax a little bit after practice.
Absolutely, we can get that done.
Yeah, Coach Dykes wouldn't care, would he?
No, he's pretty flexible.
Yeah, okay,
I
good.
think he'd allow that.
Let's start with all the niceties. Welcome. I mean, I know it's a kind of a coming back home for you.
Yes, sir.
You've been at Tulsa, but your roots were here, just
Yes, sir.
down the road in Stephenville. How important was it for you to get home, essentially?
Well, that was obviously big for me and my family. And, being a native Texan and growing up here and essentially, Fort Worth kind of being our home. Stephenville just about an hour southwest of here. And, anytime that you wanted to go out in Stephenville, you had to come over into Fort Worth. Mm-hmm. And so my wife and I spent a great deal of time over here. And so, understanding the areas and stuff like that. And then, obviously our 2 oldest kids graduated from Stephenville High School. Our youngest kid went with us to Tulsa. He's a little bit younger than the older 2, and now he's in high school. He understands Texas high school football, which is huge to him. And then obviously just getting into the Big 12, getting at a university such as TCU and having this opportunity, shucks, God's been good to me.
Yeah, I'd say your son understands high school football a little bit in the state of Texas. He's at Alito. We'll talk about that later on. But, Joe, let's dive right into your history just so folks get a feel for it. You were at Stephenville. We talked about that. You were an assistant coach for a while there. There's some great tutors, some terrific men who I know meant a lot to you over the years. And then you got a chance to be the head coach there.
Yes, sir.
Give us some sense. So people talk about pressure. The pressure in Stephenville is pretty big because of the history, right?
Yeah, exactly. And thankful to the guys that I got to play for and coach with, and they set a standard at Stephenville that was extremely high.
Right.
And so anything less than a state championship, so to speak, was almost a disappointment. Mm-hmm. And but I would much rather have that at a place like that than a place that's not involved. And so they're overzealous about their football and about their youth and their kids and athletics in general. It was a huge place. And I grew up in Stephenville, graduated from Stephenville High School. My first coaching job was at Kennedale, mm-hmm. Here in just South Arlington. After 1 year, I went back to Stephenville and as the D-line coach, and really went with the plan of staying 2 to 3 years. I was just going to try to get that on my notch, so to speak, on the resume, and ended up staying 20, and just was a great place to my family, and spent the last 7 or 8 years as the AD and head football coach. And yeah, it was a great place to be, a fun place to coach, fun place to raise kids. Enjoyed every single day of going to work.
And you got a state championship too.
Yes, sir.
Which you talked about. That's kind of the ultimate game plan there at Stephenville. Give us some sense of what that's like. I mean, at a place where it is so important to get to finally earn that state title. I mean, that's got to be a memory you carry with you forever.
Oh, absolutely. And every season has its own kind of chapter and identity, and man, you fall in love with these kids, and their parents, and I have been there long enough, unfortunately, that I was beginning to coach kids.
Yes, right.
Guys that I've been coaching when I first got there, now their kids are coming through. And just having that relationship. But, to sit there and win a state championship, what Texas high school football is, and to win a state championship at that level and stuff, it's a hard to replace.
When we talked to folks at Tulsa, the one quote that came back on Joe Gillespie was that he's all in.
Yes, sir.
That he's all in. How difficult does that make it when you have to leave Tulsa to come to TCU?
Well, it gets difficult in a lot of things, because I'm going to tell you, my whole family is all in. And so when we say all in, that includes, to be a coach's wife takes a special person. And she runs a tight ship and a good home and all of that business, but she's all in. And so our whole family, from our time at Stephenville through our time at Tulsa, and now we get to bring that all in here to TCU. And, I told Coach Dykes, Lord willing, I hope this is my last stop. God's been good to me and my family. I've been to Kennedale for 1 year, Stephenville for 20, Tulsa for 7, and I'm not getting any younger.
There you go.
So I'd like to keep it here.
Our boss, J.W. Wilson, is making me ask this question because he wants us to get deep into X's and O's, and I've been backing him off of this.
Yeah.
All right, so you're kind of a 3-3-5 guy.
Yes, sir.
So we'll see the defense change. Give folks an idea of what that means. When we say the defense at TCU is going to change, give us a sense of what that is.
So what they've been more accustomed to is more of a 4-2-5 look.
Right.
And there's some 4-2-5 look to what we do.
Oh, yeah.
And so the thing that we've done is we've taken a 3-3-5, and it's not anything new. We didn't invent something that nobody's ever done. We've just kind of made it an every down defense. And so a lot of people, I used it forever as a third down defense. And so kind of dumbed into it just a little bit by happenstance when I was up north. There was a few people kind of dabbling in it just a little bit.
The guy that I saw, Rocky Long, was doing the 3-3-5. Maybe that was one of the early ones that I remember.
Yep, that is.
Out in New Mexico.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
And so it's been around.
Yeah.
And people
but
have
more
done
people
it
are
before.
playing it now. We're seeing it in this league in the Big 12 a lot more, aren't we?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. And we got to play some Big 12 opponents when I was up north, obviously now, and we fared very well with it and stuff. And so, it's one of those defenses with the way offenses are nowadays, with the way that they spread you sideline to sideline with the multiple looks and things of that nature. It really kind of dictates defenses. And so what we wanted to do was get into a defense where the offense doesn't necessarily dictate to us what we have to do. And so that allows us to do a lot of different things. And so we sit there and we say the base of it is a 3-3-5. So we got 3 down linemen, 3 linebackers, and we've got 5 DBs back there that are all very interchangeable. And so that 3-3-5 can turn into a 3-4 in a quick hurry.
Right.
That 3-3-5 can also turn into a 4-2-5 in a quick hurry, and you're just not making any personnel substitutions with it. So that's what we wanted to do was get into a defense where we can give multiple looks, because you're going to get multiple looks offensively. They're going to give you 12 personnel, they're going to give you heavy personnel, they're going to spread you out, they're going to empty the formation, and they can do all of that with their same personnel on the field.
Yeah.
Well, why can we not do all of the same thing with the same personnel on the field as well?
See, when you start talking that 12 personnel, 28, that just gets.
Back to our days.
I'm telling you, and JW's in the back, just going crazy right now. He's ready to go. Hey, you mentioned the 2 older kiddos. You got one in high school, so this is home now.
Yes, sir.
They're adjusted okay. The young one is still at home, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
And you got a grandbaby?
Got 2 grandbabies.
2 grandbabies.
I had a grandson named Emerson
How about
he's
that?
3 years old, and a granddaughter named Ayla. She's a year and a half.
I love it. Give me the best thing so far about TCU.
The best thing so far.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you the thing that immediately stood out was just the people. And I know that's a little bit cliche, but walking around and just talking to people when I first got here, obviously trying to learn people's names.
Right.
And trying to get in the know with everybody. But also one of the questions that I asked was, how long have you been here?
Mm-hmm.
And you hear so much about, well, I've been here, this is my 19th year.
Right.
I've been here for the last 21. I've been
Yeah.
here for the last 12. And man, it just kept going down the line.
Yeah.
And it sat there and it made you go, that's what I thought about TCU.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I thought about Fort Worth. That's what you think when, people don't want to leave here and the university doesn't want them to leave.
Yeah.
And that's when you know you're at a special place.
Well, we hope you're here a long time, man.
Likewise,
Yeah.
my man.
All right, thanks for coming in here.
Appreciate you.
Joe Gillespie, the defensive coordinator of the Horned Frogs, joining us here on Frogs Today. Still to come, we got a lot more we have to get into, including a visit with Colin Boddicker. We're going to break down that 2022 basketball season. Look ahead to next year. What does TCU have to do? He joins us next when Frogs Today continues in a moment.
What do you call a Fort Worth-centric podcast featuring guests of international, national, and local fame? Fortitude FW. Why catch the latest episode? Because every guest has a story to tell. Join hosts J.W. Wilson and Britton Payne every Friday for the latest stories from noted Fort Worthians in business, sports, lifestyle, entertainment, law enforcement, politics, and, well, you get the idea. Fortitude FW, where the stories never die. Listen anywhere you get your podcast or at fortitudefw.com. Fortitude FW is a Roxo Media House production.
Frog fans, it's time for Friday Night Lights at the Carter. TCU football is set to host their spring scrimmage Friday, April 22nd. So bring out the entire family to enjoy this free event. Take advantage of happy hour specials at the concession stand all evening. And after the scrimmage, enjoy a fireworks show, followed by team autographs on the field. Gates open at 6. The scrimmage kicks off at 7. Can't make it to Amon G. Carter Stadium? No worries. You can also tune into ESPN Plus for a full telecast of the event. For more information, check out gofrogs.com.
FrogsToday.com is the ultimate TCU sports fan community. Members enjoy exclusive content from inside the locker room, feature presentations, access to athletes, coaches, and alumni that are making headlines, and a live show featuring Brian Estridge. Join us and an interactive sports community full of Horned Frog fans now at FrogsToday.com. Frogs Today is a Roxo Media House production.
Back we come to the Flying T Studios with Frogs Today for FrogsToday.com, and we're joined by our friend Colin Boddicker, the terrific basketball analyst who joins us obviously on our ESPN Plus telecast all year long. Great player here back in the day. And Colin, I just wanted to get your reaction, if I could, to what we all witnessed in San Diego. 2 games, NCAA tournament. Your take on them watching from afar.
Well, first of all, thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Frogs win their first NCAA tournament game in 35 years, so everybody's really excited. And then you got a daunting, again, beating Seton Hall in the first round, but then a daunting task playing Arizona in the second round. And, quick thoughts on that game, which is one everybody's probably more concerned about than the Seton Hall game, is, the Frogs played great. They left it all out there. They played as hard as they could. Definitely had chances to win, and that's all you can really ask for. I think all of the players, as they get over the disappointment of how the game ended, will realize that they've had a terrific season. And being that team, the first team to win an NCAA tournament game in 35 years, will stick with them for the rest of their lives. And that's something they should be very proud of.
You've been a part of tough losses like that before. And everyone points to the foul at the end of regulation with Mike Miles that wasn't called. But leading up to that, there were other plays where if you really start to break down, you go, miss layup here, miss free throw here, maybe a possession didn't go exactly like you wanted here. I mean, it doesn't come down to one play, or does it?
It never comes down to one play in a game. If you look over the course of an entire 40-minute game, there will always be plays that go both ways. You like to think that over the course of a game that they usually kind of even out for the most part. Obviously, that's not always the case, but the majority of the games are going to be pretty much even when it comes to that. The other thing that people need to realize also that while unfortunate that missed call happened at the end of the game is why everybody's looking at it, right? Because it was at the end, and it was more of a function of not that the ref just swallowed his whistle or anything. I think more importantly was that the ref just got caught out of position because of the route that Mike Miles took on his dribble when he was getting trapped and then reversing out of that trap. the official got himself in a position where he got sightlined by a second Arizona player. So when Mike got bumped at the half court, I don't think he saw it at all.
Yeah.
I really just don't think he saw it. The trail official who was was supposed to watch that or make that call. And then because of that, he couldn't tell if the ball was tipped out of Mike's hands when he went to the ground. And therefore, when Mike touched it in the backcourt, which would have been a backcourt violation, he couldn't definitively call a backcourt violation either, which is what should have been called if there was no foul called. So the long story short on that is that I think the official just got out of position a little bit and wasn't able to see the play, unfortunately, for the Frogs.
Yeah, unfortunately. But I tell you what did come out of those two games is I think the Horned Frogs made some fans across the country. And I think there's some momentum there that will carry over to next year.
I don't think there's any doubt about that. And most of that starts with, of course, Eddie Lampkin.
Yeah.
Just the charisma and the energy that he brings and the enthusiasm that he brings. And when you see him playing, how hard he plays. And he played 34 minutes that game.
Right.
Which is a lot for, a 265-pound, 6'11" guy.
Yeah.
That's a lot of minutes. And against a top player in Coloco. So, it helps when you get a guy like that who's all fired up and bringing a lot of energy like that. People are going to fall in love, especially when the majority of the country kind of feels the same way that Frogs definitely had a chance and probably could have and should have knocked off.
Because I was going to ask you, when you look at this past season and you say, okay, what were some of the surprises? For me, Eddie Lampkin would have to be at the top of that list.
Well, we talked about it in the very first game of the year that we did. We're looking through the starting lineup, and Eddie's name's in the starting lineup. I remember looking at you and saying, wow, I'm surprised that Eddie's starting.
Right.
Not because he's not talented by any stretch, but it's just that he was still so young, and you had some more experienced guys in the post that were available to start and play a lot more. It was just a little bit of a surprise, I thought. But you saw it right from the beginning that he was going to be a difference maker as far as keeping people focused on the game, and every single play matters and how much energy he gives every single play. Sometimes I also mentioned he gets out guarding. A lot of the bigs these days are playing out beyond the arc, so he's out having to guard that far sometimes, and he would be really aggressive, guarding outside of the arc. And I was kind of thought, I was like, okay, the guy's probably not going to cross you over and pull up and knock down a 20-footer on you.
Right.
You can take a step back. You're still 6'11". You can contest. But he was out there guarding really hard, and I think that's very infectious on a team when you see a guy like him, giving that kind of effort on every single play, even that far away from the basket.
You give me some sense now. To me, the priority in the offseason is roster management. How do you retain the ones you have, and then you add a couple of pieces to it. In your mind, where are the priorities for the offseason?
So the priority is obviously keeping everybody there. Everybody kind of sees that when they put it all together like they did, especially that Arizona team was arguably, Arizona could win the whole thing this year easily. They are definitely talented enough to do so. But everybody on that roster now sees that when they put it all together like they did, that they can compete at that level. Why mess up a good thing? When you're taking the correct steps towards getting better. That being said, also, you got a freshman coming in next year in PJ Haggerty out of Crosby, Texas, who's, 6'4" combo guard that can score, defend, score at all three levels. Very excited to see him come in and contribute right away, hopefully. And then still in the running, we'll find out next week in Duncanville. I went to Duncanville, so very excited about.
I was waiting on that.
Very excited about this. Hopefully, we'll see. Anthony Black, state champion this year.
Best player in the state.
Arguably the best player in the state. 6'7", 6'8" point guard, and who can obviously handle the ball and run, score, defend. 5-star recruit.
Yeah.
The finalists are, TCU, Gonzaga, Oklahoma State, and Arkansas.
Right.
And Arkansas has got a great class coming in already as well, which I think is part of it. And I think he's thrown the G League in there as well.
Yes, he did.
As a potential landing spot. But it certainly helps that Duncanville's coach, David Peavy, his son Micah, obviously is part of the TCU program. So he's got a lot of familiarity with Micah. and being so close, and it'd be the home team destination for sure.
Got about 30 seconds. Also a priority, I think, keeping the staff together. Tony Benford, Dwayne Broussard, Jamie McNeely. I mean, I think Jamie Dixon has put together a terrific staff that really showed as this season wore down and went on, especially from a scouting perspective and how they were prepped.
Not just prep and stat, but also in recruiting, obviously, too, because when you get continuity of the staff like that, they've been together now for 3 or 4 years, all of them, on the same team. So when you get that continuity and you get the familiarity working together every single day, it only gets better, and you don't have nothing to really switch up by switching out staff. But they've done terrific, and you're seeing the results of all of those efforts.
All right, roster stays together. Horned Frogs will be predicted to be what in the Big 12?
Next year?
Yeah.
I'll give them 4th.
4th, okay.
Preseason 4th, because we still got Kansas in there. We still got Texas is going to be good again
Iowa
next year.
State's going to be better.
Texas Tech's going to be good again next year.
Yeah.
Baylor's good. Big 12's just stacked.
Oh, got you.
So here we go. Iowa State could advance again.
Exactly.
They could get to the Elite 8 or Final 4. You never know.
How's Luka?
My Luka?
Yeah.
My Luka's doing great.
How old?
15 months.
Is he dunking yet?
On the little tyke school. It's the first thing we do every single day I get home. Luke, you want to go shoot some hoops?
It's my guy.
Jam in the little tyke school.
Yeah. Are you sending videos to Jamie?
Not yet, but we've got him in all the TCU gear, of course.
Okay, good.
So I'll get together the huddle and YouTube clips pretty soon.
Yeah.
And make sure, Jamie will be the front runner,
Good.
TCU will be the front runner,
Right.
but we'll get all the tapes going to all the colleges.
Knowing you, it'll be about the NIL deal, I know too. Yeah. He's Colin Boddicker. He's our basketball insider. He'll stop by periodically, keep us updated on what's going on as far as TCU basketball is concerned. We got a lot more we got to get into. Kirk Saarloos is our headliner here today, the head baseball coach of the Horned Frogs. He joins us next when Frogs Today continues after this.
On her new video podcast show, Curb Appeal, TV personality Kirby Schnorr talks about everything that appeals to her most with her best friend and City Boots owner and founder, Lizzie Bentley. Joined by their friends and special guests, they cover fashion, food, music, art, and Western culture while giving you a behind-the-scenes look at their lives, favorite places, and things to do in Fort Worth. Curb Appeal drops new episodes weekly at curbappealshow.com or anywhere you get your podcasts. Curb Appeal is a Roxo Media House production.
Frog fans, TCU Baseball introduces the Frog Flex Pack. This new addition this season gives fans the flexibility and power to decide what games they want to attend. The TCU Baseball Frog Flex Pack gives fans 10 vouchers to redeem for GA tickets at any home game this season for a low price of just $80. That's right, $80. Be sure to purchase your very own Frog Flex Pack today. Call 817-257-3764 or visit gofrogs.com.
Crooks, criminals, killers. These stories of crime and punishment in the 21st century Western society, as told through the lens of retired Fort Worth Vice Cop Jake White and investigative journalist John Henry.
Catch a new episode every Saturday anywhere you get your podcast or at signal51chronicles.com. Signal 51 Chronicles is a Roxo Media House production.
Welcome back into Frogs Today. I'm Brian Estridge. Coming up, Eddie Lampkin's going to join us. He's got a great new NIL deal that we'll get to talk about. But right now it's time for our headliner. If you would, please welcome to the set. First-year head baseball coach Kirk Saarloos is standing by. Kirk, come on in, man. How are you? Hey, how are you? Welcome in, man. Come by anytime if you want to visit.
Would love to. Great setup.
Yeah, have a seat, man. Got a little Richard's rainwater for you there if you need that, Try it out. It's good, man. It's still. I like that stuff, man. Isn't it good?
Really good.
See, it works, doesn't it? Yeah, I love it. Are you adjusted? Are you comfortable? Are you there yet as the head man?
Yes and no.
Yeah?
Yes, in terms of the baseball stuff. No, in terms of everything's new.
Yeah.
Right? So trying to figure it all out and, more hats to wear, really, but I'm enjoying every minute.
You trained, you studied, you worked really hard for this opportunity, for this day, for this time. Do you think back on it now and you go, ooh, man, that was all worth it, all the time and the effort that you put in?
Absolutely. Right when I got here, it was kind of baptism by fire, right?
Yeah.
My first year, and after my first year, that first summer, Tony Vitello left to be the recruiting coordinator at Arkansas. Chuck Drallman left to be the one of the coaches over at Jacksonville. Coach Schlossnagle went to Team USA. So I was thrown to the wolves in terms of being the recruiting coordinator with no help.
Yeah.
And looking all the way back from that point to now, definitely worth it 100%.
When you think about it, you were the choice of the players, you're the choice of the fans. We know about the great relationship you have with the athletic director.
Mm-hmm.
Does that add pressure, or does it take pressure off of you?
Probably both. That's a great question. I've never had that question asked me. Probably both, just because I want to do well by those people that supported not only myself, but Coach Mosiello and our whole staff. I mean, everybody stayed, Coach Dakin, Meredith, John Delar, everybody. So I want to do well by TCU, our boosters, our donors, our fans. Yeah, it probably puts a little added pressure, you know, when I get home at night thinking about, okay, how can I repay all the people that helped support me to get to this position as head coach at TCU, where I've always wanted to be since I've gotten here.
We've talked before about the management of the roster during COVID and how it changed things, not necessarily in a bad way, but you had more numbers. Yet you're also seeing with your team this year young guys stepping up, Bishop being one of those. I mean, names that come to mind. Has it sort of worked its way out already as far as the roster's concerned?
Yeah, it has. I think what it is now is we have 40 players.
Right.
I think next year we'll still be able to have 40.
Okay.
The only way that we can have 40 is you have to have 5 of those players had to be affected by COVID in some way in terms of playing in that 2020 season.
Right.
So we'll probably have 40 next year. It's kind of worked its way out in terms of, you know, you have draft eligible sophomores now because of COVID. But, you know, talking about the young guys, I think our starting lineup last night, we had everybody but 2, our 2 grandpas up the middle, Sacco and Rogers.
Right.
They were the only 2 seniors. Everybody else was either a sophomore or a freshman in the lineup.
Yeah, that tells you.
Yeah, so that's really exciting. Really exciting news in terms of development over the next couple of years. We love the guys coming in next year in our recruiting class, so I think, you know, there's a very bright future.
Yeah, that was a win, by the way, over Abilene Christian that he's referencing there. Give me some sense you talk about how the roster's sort of settled out, what the future is for college baseball, and where does that number settle in at?
I think it ends up getting back to 35.
Okay.
I would like to see it be 40, you know, just to be able to develop 5 more student athletes. But I think it's going to get back to 35. One of the other things that they're talking about with legislation is right now you can only give up to 27 players athletic scholarship.
Right.
And that has to be a minimum of 25%. They're talking about doing away with the minimum 25%, and then doing away with the 27. So you could give all 35 guys some sort of partial scholarship. And I think that's the best way to do it. You know, don't tell me how to spend my money, pretty much. I have 11.7, I know that, and I can spend it any which way I can.
Well, the best way to do it would be to say you don't have 11.7, you've got 25.
Well, that would be really nice.
Yeah.
Or 35.
Or 35.
I mean, hopefully that's where it's going.
Yeah.
You know, I think the big thing is it's just a matter of how much college athletics or universities invest and think about baseball, and I think it's starting to grow even more around the country.
Let's talk pitching. Obviously, that's your background. As a former pitcher and pitching coach, and now the head man, will you ever be satisfied?
Never. You know, it's until we throw a shutout every game, I never will be. So, you know, pitching travels just like defense in basketball or football. So you got to pitch, and you're in every game if you can pitch. And you know, I'm going to have gray hair and a lot more gray hair, just because you can never have enough pitching. You know, you can never have enough pitching.
But they've come around. I mean, and you get the sense that they're, you know, every outing they're a little bit more confident right now.
Yeah, and I think we're now getting to the point where we have, you know, Austin Crow being injured doesn't help, but we kind of have our 8 guys now. You know, and I think early on it's okay. We might have 10 to 15 guys. Now we've pared that all the way down to, okay, these are our 8 guys that we're going to go to battle with for the most part. And as soon as you have that, now you have guys getting in a rhythm and have an opportunity to kind of cement their roles.
I want to make sure I get this number right. 5 wins if tied or trailing after 8. The comeback kids, huh?
Yeah,
I mean,
the cardiac kids. My blood pressure medicine, it works pretty well, I think. But yeah, they kind of just hang around and like I've told them, we're never going to lose a game. We're just going to run out of innings or run out of time.
Right.
And I think they've taken heart to that, because there's some ball games where it looks really ugly for a long time. And next thing you know, it's the 7th, 8th, 9th inning, and here we are. So I try to ask him, can we please do that a little bit earlier, or maybe not give up as many runs early in the game so I don't, have to start chewing on my teeth and blood pressure goes through the roof. But I mean, it says a lot for them. There's no lead too big for an opponent.
And then you get 5 against ACU early, and you say that's not enough early.
Not enough, 10, especially when it's blowing out 40 miles an hour in a small ballpark. We just keep scoring, baby.
2 things I need to talk about before I let you go. One is the Big 12, strength of the Big 12 this year. As you've seen it so far, give me your assessment.
It's deep,
Yeah.
top to bottom. There's really not going to be a weekend where you can take a deep breath and say, okay, this is going to be an easier weekend, especially with college baseball, the parity overall. But, I think there's an opportunity to get, 6, 7 teams in regionals from our conference. Obviously the Texas Techs, Oklahoma State's Oklahoma. We just played a Baylor team that can do some damage in our conference. So there's going to be a lot of teams, that we're going to have to go out and play really good baseball to beat in the Big 12. But it's only going to make us better in the long run in terms of going through a great conference, just like our basketball program just did.
Yes.
You go through a really hard basketball schedule like we did at TCU, next thing you know, you reap the benefits in postseason play.
I lied to you. 2 more things. One is Matt Carpenter with signing with the Rangers.
Yep.
Let's hope he sticks with the big guys. Give me some sense of what that means as an ambassador for TCU to have him in town.
Absolutely. I mean, Matt is a staple at TCU in terms of coming out, hitting, being around our guys. Giving back to our program every single year. I mean, I can't tell you how much that means to us and our players. And then to have him being local here and hopefully, obviously, making that roster and being able to commute back and forth and having him around during a season as well, and his wife, Mackenzie. I mean, it's just a phenomenal family, and anytime we can have him in town in Fort Worth more, it's just, you can't ask for anything better than that.
Speaking of family, you got the 3 kiddos. They're starting to get up there where they're playing now.
Yeah.
How are you going to balance that? I mean, your boy's going to be playing baseball. I know softball's coming on as well. Give me a sense of how you're going to balance that.
Well, I got my little one having a soccer game tonight at 7 o'clock, so I'll be at that one. When I'm in town, I'm trying to make everything.
Yeah.
Because I know I'm going to be out of town for a lot of stuff. So the great thing is my son's, he's gotten into golf, which I love to golf. So it's like, hey, babe, I'll take him to the range tonight. So as the sun stays in the sky a little bit longer, hopefully after practice I can get him out there and do that. But my middle one's playing all the sports as well. So it's great. It's phenomenal. It's tough to miss the things that I have to miss. But when I'm in town, there's nothing that's going to take me away from watching them play.
I know that's a priority, and we'll be around this program.
Absolutely.
As long as you're here. Kirk Saarloos, the head baseball coach here at TCU. Thanks for coming by, brother.
You bet. Thanks for having me.
Come by anytime, man. Just hang out and visit.
Would love to.
We'll turn the camera on, or we might not. You never know. All right. That's Kirk Saarloos joining us here on Frogs Today. Still to come, Eddie Lampkin with a brand new NIL deal you got to hear about. We'll do that after we do this.
Say hello to the water of tomorrow. Richard's Rainwater. Richard's Rainwater is 100% rain, refreshing, renewable, and the only ingredient we use in our water. Why rain? Because everyone deserves access to clean water, and rain is a 100% renewable resource available everywhere. Drink the rain. Save the planet. Shop now at richardsrainwater.com.
The Flying T Club provides the everyday TCU fan and alum the ability to specifically support TCU student athletes. Flying T Club offers 3 levels of memberships. The Flying T Club is a nonprofit organization supporting the brand development of TCU student athletes through a series of unique event-based networking opportunities, which are exclusive to our members. These events provide a great social engagement tool for our members and student athletes alike. Follow them on Instagram at Flying T Club or online at flyingtclub.com. Every Sunday is Family Day at Lupton Stadium this season. Family Day includes dollar hot dogs, a Super Frog Kid Zone featuring face painters and inflatables, plus an ice cream helmet giveaway at the gates. After the games, the first 150 kids can run the bases and get autographs from the entire team. So grab the family. Come out every Sunday for Family Day at the ballpark. Presented by All Saints Episcopal School and Old South Pancake House.
Frogs Today continues now with a very special guest. You know, you've heard us talk about NIL throughout the last couple of episodes and the partnership that we have here at Frogs Today with the Flying T Club. This is the Flying T Club studio. Well, we've got a very special NIL deal that we want to get into with one of the fan favorites, not only here in Fort Worth and at TCU, but he's made his name around the globe. If you would, welcome to the show, Eddie Lampkin. Eddie, come on in, my man.
How you doing?
Good to see you.
Good to see you too.
You've had a pretty good week, huh?
Yeah, I did.
Have a seat, man. Joining Eddie, by the way, is I know become good friends of Eddie's and good friends of ours as well, especially if you're like me and you're a fan of Chicken Express. Jordan Wolf's with us. Jordan, how are you, man?
I'm doing great. Glad to be here.
Yeah, we're glad you're here. I want to dive into the NIL deal, and then we're going to talk with Eddie a little bit about what's happening as far as TCU basketball is concerned. I guess, let's start with this, Eddie. How did this come about? How did this partnership with Chicken Express happen?
Actually, they just hit me up on Twitter. He texted me. He was like, they interested in me. They want to work with me. And then I told him I love it.
Yeah. Now, were you a fan of Chicken Express before that?
Yeah, actually I was, because I used to go there a lot growing up.
Right.
Like, I'm from, my mom's from a small town.
Yeah.
Like, they used to have, it's called Temple, and they used to have Chicken Express, so we used to go there a lot.
I know the Temple Chicken Express. How about that? Jordan, so you guys reach out to him on Twitter and decide, hey, here's a guy that we'd like to help with the NIL. Tell me how that started all unfold.
So, as you know, Ricky Stewart, a big supporter of TCU, he reached out to me because I have the location over closest TCU, and he said, hey, you need to reach out to Eddie. He's the man. He's the guy everyone loves, and, you know, he's just a great guy, not just a great basketball player, but everyone knows him as a great guy, and said, hey, let's reach out to him. And we kind of brainstormed for about a couple days, and I just said, basketball, let's do an and one meal. And we just came up with a meal where we, you know, added an extra tender, an extra side, an extra roll, and did a 44-ounce drink since Eddie's number 4, and, you know, it kind of came to be.
I like it. So you get an extra tender, an extra side.
Yes, sir.
And an extra roll. I like that.
Yeah.
In the big boy, so I can get my sweet tea.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And
I'm helping Eddie too.
Exactly, and that's the cool thing is, you know, $4 from every meal is going to Eddie, and you know, it's been a good start so far, and we're excited because we did this kind of late in the season. It was kind of we ought to do this, but I think with a little more preparation, we want to make this thing way bigger next year because, you know, the more money going to Eddie is great, and it's good for branding of Chicken E, and it's just a great win-win for everybody.
I want to get into some basketball with Eddie here in a second, but I got one conversation I want you to be a part of. So the Kansas game at home, TCU knocks off Kansas. You remember what happened after the game? Do you remember immediately after the game? Final score, bump, horn sounds. What happens on the court?
They stormed the court.
Storm the court. Where was Eddie in the? Where were you as part of that?
At first I walked. I think that game I walked because we stormed it twice back to back.
Right.
That game I like walked around everybody, and like I wasn't even in the middle, and like, I was like, dang, we just beat Kansas. I'm walking around, and like I'm just looking, but everybody's just coming. People not even stopping at me yet, but like they stop and saying, hey Eddie, and then I was just like, dang, we beat him, and then I just went straight to the middle, found Mike, and we just started dancing, having fun.
All right, so you're at one point you're on one side of the floor, then you go to the middle of the floor.
Yeah.
All right, where were you in all this, Jordan?
So me and my 10-year-old, we were on the court. We, you know, we came down on the court, and of course, first thing he says, because whenever we did the deal with Eddie, I told my kids, hey, you want to meet Eddie? Of course, they're like, oh, you know, that's like, you know, the man.
Yeah.
So anyways, I took my oldest to the game, and we stormed the court, and I put him on my shoulders, and he's like, oh, we got to get close to Eddie. And I said, buddy, there's thousands of people around Eddie. We're just going to get, like, in the vicinity. And Eddie waved to us, and it's funny because that night, you know, we're excited. We're pumped up at the game, and see my phone at, like, 10:30. It's Eddie. Eddie calls me, and he goes, hey, is Nolan there? I go, yeah. And he goes, hey, Nolan. Didn't get to give you a high five, but thanks for coming to the game. And, you know, 10-year-old kid, their favorite player on earth. I mean, what a cool deal. And the guy that's got 1 million people hitting him up on Twitter and Instagram, and the fan favorite, and he takes time to, you know, think about the kids. That's what makes him great.
I love that. You didn't forget about Nolan,
No,
huh?
I did.
Yeah.
That's my guy, both of them.
I like it. Let's talk a little basketball. All right. You've had a chance now to reflect on those two games in San Diego. You had your career best game in that second one against Arizona. You gave it all you had. You're going against a couple of pros, by the way.
Yeah, I did.
What have you thought since then? How have you reflected on that game and where you stand right now as far as your performance and how you felt coming out of it?
Performance-wise, I say I did what I had to do. I played my heart out. I gave it all. I never played that hard for a game. Like I told my mom, my dad and them, I ain't never played a game that hard. Competing wise, like I feel like the Big 12 is the best conference, like by far. Like the game we played, that last game, that was every game. Like in the Big 12, from West Virginia to Kansas to Texas Tech, everybody. Like that's every game, just like that. No games was easy. And what I just learned like you can't just give up. You got to keep working, get better every day.
You know, you guys talk about you and E-Man and Emmanuel Miller, and everyone talks about the family, the brotherhood of TCU basketball. You had to be proud of the effort. I know you were disappointed at the end, but you had to be proud of the effort.
Yeah, I was. I was very proud of everybody because one thing when me and Mike, because me and Mike was like the last ones out there. Like I couldn't leave him because like me and him, that been my roommate. So like it was hard for me and him because me and him talked about, let's go to March Madness, let's change the program, let's change the culture of basketball at TCU, and we did that. And like, we was just like, wow.
You had a conversation too with Tommy Lloyd, the head coach at Arizona, after the game. You had an extended, he was consoling you after the game. Do you remember what was said? Do you remember what he said to you?
I remember he said we was the best team that they played all year. I'm the best big they played all year. And he was just like, you got a bright future. And I was like, thank you, Coach.
That had to make you feel good, man. Because they played some pretty good teams and players in the Pac-12.
Yeah.
That had to make you feel good. Eddie, when you think about how you changed your body and you changed your game, and then people got to know your personality, and people say, well, you know, is this intentional? This is just you, right?
Yeah, it's natural.
What we see on the floor is just you.
Yeah, it's natural. It's natural. Nothing's gonna change.
You're talking constantly on the floor. What are you saying?
What's crazy? I don't even want to talk about it, but when the dude dunked on me, I know it's bad. The dude dunked on me. I went up to him. I told him. I said, I like that. Like I told him. I said, you shouldn't have ever did that. Like I told him, and I just had to go out shine. I told him I was like, I'm about to go kill, and that's what I did.
Gonna have to pay you back.
Yeah, I was telling Mike, I feel that if I get the ball down the middle, I'm dunking. I wasn't doing no more layups. I'm trying to dunk. I'm trying to get my dunk back, and I just was like, you made me want to go harder. Appreciate you for dunking on me. Like, hey, it happened. So I was just like, I couldn't get out the way. I'm gonna take it, and then I'm gonna just do what I did.
10 offensive rebounds, by the way, the most in the tournament in 12 years. Do you know? I don't know if you knew that yet.
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, Jamie Plunkett, our researcher at frogstoday.com, came up with that for me. So that's the most offensive rebounds in 12 years in the tournament.
Crazy.
That tells you a little something right there, man.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah. Do you feel like there's unfinished business?
Most definitely. I'm trying to win a national championship.
Yeah. Is Eddie Lampkin coming back next year?
Most definitely. Most definitely. Most definitely. Why not?
I like that. So you heard it here first, folks. Eddie Lampkin's coming back to TCU next year. Now bring a bunch of them with you now.
Yeah.
You gonna do that?
Yeah, that's the plan.
All right, good. We like that. All right, so I want to close with this because this partnership started fairly late in the season, right?
Yes,
with
sir.
Chicken Express. Give us some idea of how we might see it expand and what's next with it.
So this year we did it just at the Berry Street location, which is the store closest TCU. But I think our goal would be to, at a minimum, expand it to more of the Fort Worth stores or some more DFW presence. And, you know, it's just numbers. I mean, the more stores, the more participation, the more we can make this a meal that, you know, translates. And you look at the games this year and how big of a story Eddie became. You know, it won't be long until everybody knows Eddie. It doesn't have to be a DFW thing. It can be a bigger.
I was going to say now that he's the most popular player in the tournament, because that's what Eddie Lampkin is right now, the most popular player in the tournament. Eddie Jordan's going to have to open stores all across the country, isn't he? Isn't that the next move?
Hey, that should be.
Yeah, he should be.
That would be great.
Let's make it happen. Thank you for coming by, Jordan. Do appreciate it.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, Eddie, thank you on a great year. It's been
thank
fun to
y'all.
watch, man. And I wanted to tell you that I appreciate the fact that you remembered Nolan And you got to keep remembering the little guys too,
Yeah,
you know,
most
because
definitely.
that's the future, you know.
Yeah.
And they look up to Eddie Lampkin.
Yeah.
And so you're a terrific role model. Congratulations on the partnership with Chicken
Yeah,
Express.
thank you.
The great year, and we look forward to great things in the future.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, there they are, Eddie Lampkin, Jordan Wolf joining us here on Frogs Today. Up next, Jamie Pluckett. We talked about him. He had that little factoid that no one else had. That this guy right here. Best offensive rebound numbers in 12 years. We got more from Jamie, including a look at spring ball. It started already for TCU. We'll do that next when Frogs Today continues in a moment.
Say hello to the water of tomorrow. Richard's Rainwater. Richard's Rainwater is 100% rain. Refreshing, renewable, and the only ingredient we use in our water. Why rain? Because everyone deserves access to clean water, and rain is a 100% renewable resource available everywhere. Drink the rain. Save the planet. Shop now at richardsrainwater.com.
Frog fans, it's time for Friday Night Lights at the Carter. TCU football is set to host their spring scrimmage Friday, April 22nd. So bring out the entire family to enjoy this free event. Take advantage of happy hour specials at the concession stand all evening. And after the scrimmage, enjoy a fireworks show, followed by team autographs on the field. Gates open at 6. The scrimmage kicks off at 7. Can't make it to Amon G. Carter Stadium? No worries. You can also tune into ESPN Plus for a full telecast of the event. For more information, check out gofrogs.com. Hey, if you're looking for a fun place to host a company party or large gathering, look no further than TCU Baseball. They invite you to reserve your spot in Home Run Alley. Home Run Alley, the new and improved hospitality area at Lupton Stadium that includes 25 tickets and a covered tent with rental purchase. Additional catering options are available to purchase. Lock in your spot at Frog Alley this season by calling 817-257-3764 or visit gofrogs.com.
Frogs Today continues now as we welcome to the show one of the newest members of our family. Proud to have him with him. Jamie Plukkett's with us right now, terrific writer from our FrogsToday.com staff. Good to see you, brother.
Thanks for having me on.
Well, it is spring football time.
Yes, it is.
And unlike years past, Jamie gets to be in the middle of things, folks. That's Coach Sonny Dykes' access policy. Now, I want to start with that. I want to talk about the access, the tempo, the vibe of the first couple of days of spring ball. What do you think?
Well, you know, I walked up 6:45 on Tuesday morning, climbed up the stairs to the practice fields, and music was already blasting. It was obviously the players' selection of music, which is different than years past. There was a little sectioned off space for the media there. We were allowed to take pictures, shoot video, do all those kinds of things that you've never been able to do at a TCU spring practice before, and we got to stay the whole time.
How about that?
Watch the entire practice, see these kids run their drills, run a little 7-on-7, 11-on-11. They were helmets only, so no pads on practice on Tuesday. But it was a great opportunity just to see these guys first practice of the spring, see some of the freshmen that got on campus early. And then we had an opportunity to talk to Chandler Morris and Max Duggan and Coach Dykes after practice as well.
I want to get into that, but give me some sense of the teaching vibe. I mean, is this a teaching practice that's going on?
Absolutely it is. You know, I talked to a couple assistant coaches after as well, and this is an athletic team. They know that for a fact. But now it's about kind of the collective learning that they've got to do. Obviously installing a new offense and a new defense, so both sides of the ball are going through a transition in that, and as far as playbook goes. And so it's going to be a lot of learning in the spring. But Coach Dykes addressed that. He said, you know, this is that opportunity for guys to get an intimate understanding of the playbook, to understand what their roles are and what the expectations are for those roles. And so spring practice is about putting good film out there for them to watch and to learn from.
All right, let's dive right into some of the battles that are taking place. Let's start with the one that everyone wants to know, and that's quarterback. Did you get any insight after just a couple of practices?
Well, Max Duggan ran with the ones in the first practice. And so we asked Sonny Dykes about that afterwards, and he said that right now, for the spring, they're just running the ones and the twos based on experience. So Max, obviously with the most playing time, most experience, is going to be running with that first unit. Chandler Morris is running with the second unit. Then you've got Sam Jackson running with the third. And it was interesting too that Josh Morris, Josh Hoover, the kid, the freshman out of Rockwall, was actually running with the fours because former quarterback Trent Battle has moved to running back.
Okay, so there's a move. There's a position change already. That won't be the last, I assume.
Probably not.
All right, let's dive into this. The other battle for me that I've got interested in is left tackle. Obina Eze obviously was at Pro Day in the Combine. Give us some sense of what's going on there.
Marcus Williams and Michael Nichols are the guys that are going after that position right now. Marcus ran with the ones in the first practice. Michael was running with the twos, but Coach Dykes said after practice that both are capable. Now it's just about going out and doing it, and whoever wins that battle wins that battle. He talked about quarterback and about left tackle and about a couple other positions as well, really just saying it's good to be in the position that TCU is in because they clearly have the talent. Sometimes you get into a job and you look at a couple different positions here and there and you say, oh, well, there's competition for that spot, but neither of those guys are really talented. With Duggan and Morris at quarterback and with Williams and Nichols at left tackle, Dykes likes the talent that he's got at those positions. Now it's about who's going to push the other one to win that battle.
I love hearing you use the word talent and athleticism when talking about this team already. That's a good sign. Obviously, it's a new staff that's got to learn to work together and then to work with these players. But there's some newness to the new staff as well. Did you get a chance to talk to Sonny about that at all?
Yeah, I gave, obviously TCU brought in Jamarcus McFarland as a defensive line coach after losing their last coach to the defending national champion Georgia Bulldogs. Right. And then new running backs coach, Anthony Jones Jr., coming over from Memphis, replacing running backs coach Rashad Samples, who went to the Super Bowl winning Los Angeles Rams. And so, when you're losing assistant coaches to programs of that stature, you obviously have hired quality guys. And Dykes had an opportunity to talk a little bit about the new coaches, though. And he said that he likes their demeanor, he likes their coaching style, thinks they're great coaches. And I actually have a clip if we want to go to that. Okay, here's Coach Sonny Dykes now talking about some of the newest additions to the new staff.
You don't ever want to lose the coach as late as we did. Really this year, you don't ever lose coaches at all. I just believe consistency is very, very important. Maintaining that on the staff. But I feel really good about the guys that we've hired. I just think that they're two quality coaches and, guys that, again, want to do things the right way. Really appreciate the way they've just jumped in. It's taken a lot of work and they've grinded through it. And so much of, what they have to do these days takes place out there on the field. It also takes place talking to recruits and calling guys and developing a relationship with our players that are currently here. And so, they both have been swimming in the deep end, just trying to get caught up with all the stuff they have to do. But work ethic's been great. Like I said, I like the two guys personally. I like their demeanor. I like the way they coach. And, I think they're going to be quality additions to our staff.
We'll go 2 more questions.
That's interesting. You can already see that Sonny Dykes likes this group that he's working with. A couple other things I want to find out. Anybody else stand out? We talked about quarterback. We talked about left tackle. Any other players stand out to you?
There were 2 that stood out to me in this first practice. The first one is Dominic Williams, freshman defensive lineman. You might remember that his recruiting was a little bit back and forth. He was committed to Cal for a long time, looked like he was going to flip to the Frogs, and then reaffirmed his commitment to Cal the day before National Signing Day and then ended up signing, obviously, with TCU. He was a force, both in one-on-ones against the offensive line and in those 5-on-5 line drills that they were running in practice. He was consistently getting into the backfield past the guards that he was lining up against. And then on the other side of the ball, a kid who's not even on scholarship yet, Gunnar Henderson.
Yeah.
This kid, if he was 2 or 3 inches taller, multiple people have told me if he was 2 or 3 inches taller, he would have had scholarship offers from across the country. This is a guy who is not afraid to go over the middle, go up and get the ball, and he made some incredible catches in their first 7-on-7 drills and then their 11-on-11 drills as well.
Yeah, young wide receiver for the Horned Frogs, Gunnar Henderson there. Did he talk priorities at all? I know you guys visited with him after practice was over with. Did he talk about what the priorities were for the spring?
Learning. Yeah. It's about understanding the playbook and understanding what the expectations are for your role. Like I said already, he and the assistant coaches have affirmed the athleticism of this group. That's not going to be the issue. The issue is mentally understanding what you're supposed to be doing and when you're supposed to be doing it. So collectively, they do probably need to elevate that learning just a little bit here on out, but they've still got 14 spring practices to go, and then obviously the spring game as well.
All right, I want to shift gears on you real quick before we get out of here. You were in Las Vegas during the NCAA tournament. Great weekend to be there, by the way, is it not? That first weekend of March Madness. Give us some sense of what it was like to watch those 2 TCU games and how the folks there reacted to them.
Well, the first game was pretty fun to watch, just from a fan standpoint, because beating Seton Hall by 27 never makes you sad.
Yeah.
But the second game, the Arizona game, I was in the Mirage Sportsbook with probably 200-300 other people, and Eddie Lampkin captivated the entire crowd. Eddie chants were breaking out just like you heard them breaking out in Schollmeyer all year. People were imitating his flex and his little too small moves as well every time he would score or pull a rebound down. And there was even a gentleman there in a bright red Arizona blazer, had that classic letter A Arizona logo all over it. And he came up to me afterwards and he shook my hand. I had a TCU pullover on, and he said, "Yeah, Mike got fouled. And we just need to acknowledge that Mike got fouled."
Wow.
I said, well, it doesn't make me feel much better, but thank you for that. But it was a great atmosphere, and it was wild just to see collectively all of these people, once they realized that TCU had an opportunity and they were fighting to the end, that they were all pulling for the Horned Frogs.
How about that? Yeah, Jamie Plunkett already making a big difference for us, big impact for us at frogstoday.com. I encourage you to come by often.
I'll be here.
Love your insight, man,
Appreciate that.
and thanks for covering practice for us. We
Absolutely.
look forward to more reports on what's happening as far as the spring is concerned with the Horned Frogs. We had a big thank you to a lot of folks who came by today. Obviously, Kirk Saarloos, our headliner, Joe Gillespie, the defensive coordinator for the Horned Frogs, Eddie Lampkin for stopping by, Colin Boddicker for breaking down that TCU basketball season, for Maggie Hell, for Jamie Plunkett, for Jeff Wilson, and Melissa Treibwasser, our entire crew at Frogs Today. Thanks for joining us here from the Flying T Studios for this edition of Frogs Today. And join us all week long on frogstoday.com.
Frogs Today is brought to you by the Flying T Club, supporting TCU student athletes, and by Richard's Rainwater. Say hello to the water of tomorrow. Frogs Today is a production of Roxo Media House.